The family together. What was supposed to be a quiet dinner in Lauren Pumpkin Efford's backyard turned into a bombshell moment when June stood up, clinked at her sweet tea glass, and whispered, "Got something to say about Kaitlyn, and y'all ain't going to believe." The table went silent. Kaitlyn, now 13, looked away nervously. Sitting next to her was a teenage boy few had seen before, tall, lean, with bright blue eyes and curly brown hair. His name, Jane Carter. Jane Carter, 14, comes from a nearby town. A foster kid raised in and out of care. He met Kaitlyn at a school art fair earlier this year. What began as innocent friendship quickly blossomed into a close bond filled with shared secrets, poetry, and dreams of escaping the drama surrounding their families. But Mama June wasn't done. She reached into her bag and pulled out an old dog-eared journal. This belonged to Kaitlyn. She gave it to me for safekeeping. Heartfelt entries. Kaitlyn described her first kiss with Lamine behind the school gym, speaking phone calls at night, and even a pact to run away together after graduation. But one passage left everyone stunned. Alana turned to Kaitlyn. "What do you know about me and Daylin?" Kaitlyn hesitated, but Mama June stepped in. "That's not Kaitlyn's to answer. Drolin was cheating with a girl named Marissa." Kaitlyn saw them. She tried to tell Alana. Tears welled in Alana's eyes. "That can't be true." Alana stormed off. Kaitlyn followed, begging her to understand she only wanted to protect her. Meanwhile, Jane sat frozen at the table as Josh efforted him with suspicion. "You're sneaking around like grown adults." Mama June snapped. "You had secret girlfriends, too." "Josh, don't start." The barbecue disbanded in silence. The family had splintered again. Mama June Shannon is in the hospital just shortly after a psychic warned her about future health troubles. On the July 25th episode of Mama June, Family Crisis, the 45-year-old met with a psychic with daughter Jessica Shannon and husband Justin Strad for Jessica's bachelorette party. During the session, the psychic told June that she's lost a lot of her health and is carrying a lot of stress, which isn't good. The psychic added that she may have a heart attack because of Justin suggests taking June to the hospital, but she refuses. But as the pain continued, she said she feels like she's about to throw up, and a producer agrees that they should go get medical attention. Determined that ovarian cysts are causing her severe pain, and June is now considering her treatment options. Ovarian cysts are common. The Mayo Clinic states that many women have ovarian cysts at some time and most present little or no discomfort and are harmless. Never miss a story. Sign up free daily newsletter to stay up to date on the best of what has to offer. From celebrity news to compelling human interest stories. However, large or ruptured cysts can cause serious symptoms including severe pelvic pain and bleeding, fullness or heaviness in the abdomen and bloating. Rare cases a ruptured ovarian cyst may require surgery. Those hoping to catch the last bit of drama in the season can stream the finale through Philo Free Trial, Direct Free Trial or Sling Off first month. Last week's episode proved to be one of the most explosive this season as Pumpkin revealed to Mama June and her arranged husband Josh of her newfound relationship with Darren Kitchens alone. The news of Pumpkin moving on would be a hard pill to swallow. But tensions elevated even more once Pumpkin revealed that her new boyfriend is the cousin of Josh. Another major development in last week's episode followed Josh as he was involved in a car accident which sent him to the hospital. As Pumpkin is still listed as his emergency contact, viewers tuning in saw her as she rushed to the hospital, causing panic to spread throughout the family. Though not much is known about where things will pick up on the upcoming season finale. The wee episode synopsis hints at Josh packing up his belongings and Pumpkin finally finding out who snitched on he, leaving her shocked. Cord cutters hoping to catch the final episode of Mama June Family Crisis Season 7 can stream the premiere through Philo Direct. Both Philo and Direct offer free trials for new subscribers to enjoy before committing to a paid plan, while Sling offers those that commit to a paid subscription half off their first month. Out of the 3 streaming services listed above, Philo is the cheapest at just a month after its 7-day free trial concludes. Philo is considered one of the most affordable streaming platforms on the market. Known as an entertainment-focused streaming service, Flow offers its subscribers access to over 70 top-rated channels such as Investigation, Discovery, and more. New users can enjoy Philo's 7-day free trial and continue to stream top channels, hit shows, and movies on demand for just a month once the free trial expires. Those looking to customize their flow of content even further on Philo can consider including add-ons such as their subscription. Direct is a top streaming service perfect for those looking to access a plethora of live channels and enjoy helpful features. The base package starts at just a month after its 5-day free trial and includes popular channels such Bravo and more. Direct has also recently introduced a lineup of genre packs which allow subscribers to choose their favorite viewing options based on what genre they watch the most. With genre packs, Users can get the channels and content they want without filler channel overload. Packs start at just month. The silence after the backyard barbecue felt heavier than anyone expected. Nobody touched the cold plates of food left scattered across Pumpkin's patio table. The sun had already disappeared behind the trees, leaving only the yellow glow of hanging string lights swaying gently in the warm Georgia air. Mama June remained seated with Kaitlyn's journal still clutched tightly in her hands while everyone else slowly drifted apart in different directions. Pumpkin stood near the kitchen doorway staring at Josh, waiting for him to say something, anything at all, but he kept his eyes locked on the teenage boy sitting awkwardly beside the fence. Jane Carter looked completely out of place in the middle of the family chaos. His sneakers were dusty, his hands trembling slightly under the table, and every few seconds he glanced nervously toward the gate like he wanted to run home. But he stayed because Kaitlyn stayed. Across the yard, Alana wiped tears from her face while Kaitlyn tried desperately to explain herself. "I didn't want you finding out like this," Kaitlyn whispered shakily. "I swear I was trying to protect you." Alana turned around with red swollen eyes. "Then why didn't you tell me sooner?" Kaitlyn froze. The answer sat painfully in her throat because the truth was ugly. She had tried telling Alana twice before, but every time Darren somehow convinced Alana the rumors were fake. Kaitlyn looked down at the grass. "Because I knew you loved him." Alana scoffed bitterly. "Loved him? He made me look stupid." Before Kaitlyn could answer, Mama June slowly walked toward them carrying the journal under her arm. "Enough for tonight," June said quietly. "Everybody emotional and nobody thinking straight." But Alana wasn't ready to calm down. "No, Mama, you embarrass me in front of everybody." June sighed heavily. "Baby, you deserve the truth." "Not like that." Alana snapped before storming toward her car again. Pumpkin watched silently from the porch while Justin rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. Even he knew the family had reached another breaking point. Meanwhile, Josh finally approached Jane near the fence. "So what exactly your intentions with Kaitlyn?" he asked coldly. Jane looked startled. "Sir, you heard me." Jane swallowed hard before answering carefully. "We're just friends." Josh laughed under his breath. "Ain't no 14-year-old boy writing poetry with a girl just to be friends." Kaitlyn immediately stepped between them. "Stop it. He didn't do anything wrong." Josh raised his eyebrows. "You defending him already? Because y'all are treating him like a criminal." Mama June stepped in before things escalated further. "Josh, back off." Josh threw his hands up. "I'm trying to protect her." "By interrogating a child." June fired back. The tension became unbearable. Finally, Pumpkin shouted from the porch. "Everybody go home before this gets worse." One by one the family started leaving the backyard until only Mama June, Justin, Pumpkin, Josh, Kaitlyn, and Jane remained. The crickets chirped loudly in the darkness while distant thunder rolled across the sky. Kaitlyn quietly turned to Jane. "I'm sorry you had to see all this." Jane shrugged sadly. "I'm used to families yelling." That sentence hit Kaitlyn harder than anything else that night. She suddenly remembered Jane once telling her he had lived in 6 foster homes before turning 14. Some families ignored him completely while others treated him like a burden they couldn't wait to get rid of. Kaitlyn grabbed his hand gently. "You can still leave if you want." Jane looked at her carefully. "Do you want me to?" She shook her head immediately. "No." From the porch, Pumpkin noticed them holding hands and quietly exchanged a worried glance with Josh. "This is getting serious," Pumpkin whispered. Josh sighed deeply. "Way too serious." Back inside the house, Mama June sat heavily at the kitchen table while Justin poured her another glass of sweet tea. She looked exhausted. The stress from the evening had visibly drained the color from her face. Justin frowned. "You okay?" June pressed her hand against her stomach again. "Just cramps." Pumpkin overheard and immediately looked concerned. "Mama, you've been saying that for days." June brushed it off quickly. "I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. The pain had been growing worse ever since Jessica's bachelorette trip when the psychic warned her about health issues. At first June laughed it off like another ridiculous reality show moment, but now she couldn't ignore the stabbing sensation spreading through her abdomen. Justin sat beside her quietly. "Maybe we should get you checked out tomorrow." June rolled her eyes. "I ain't dying." Pumpkin crossed her arms. "Nobody said you were." Upstairs, Kaitlyn sat on the edge of Pumpkin's guest room bed while Jane stood awkwardly near the door. Neither of them spoke for nearly a full minute. Finally, Kaitlyn whispered, "You think they hate you?" Jane shook his head slowly. "No. They just don't trust me." Kaitlyn looked guilty. Because you're from foster care. Because nobody knows me, he corrected softly. He sat beside her carefully. People hear foster kid and already decide who you are. Kaitlyn looked at him with watery eyes. I know who you are. Jane smiled faintly. Yeah. She nodded. You're the only person who listens to me without judging me. Downstairs another argument suddenly erupted between Pumpkin and Josh. Their voices echoed through the house loud enough for everyone to hear. You embarrassed that boy tonight, Pumpkin snapped. Josh defended himself immediately. I was asking questions. You were scaring him. He's too old to be sneaking around my niece. Pumpkin scoffed. You acting like you weren't doing worse at their age. Mama June groaned loudly. Lord, can everybody stop yelling before my head explodes? Justin looked increasingly worried as June leaned forward, clutching her stomach again. Sweat formed across her forehead. Mama? Pumpkin asked nervously. June forced a weak smile. I'm okay. But suddenly her face twisted painfully and she nearly dropped her glass. Justin immediately stood up. That's it. We're going to the hospital. No, June muttered stubbornly. I just need sleep. But when she tried standing, sharp pain shot through her abdomen, causing her knees to buckle. Pumpkin rushed forward and caught her arm. Mama. Kaitlyn and Jane hurried downstairs after hearing the commotion. The room instantly filled with panic. June tried catching her breath while Justin grabbed his truck keys. We ain't arguing about this anymore, he said firmly. Josh nodded for once. He's right. June looked embarrassed more than afraid. I don't need everybody making a big deal. Pumpkin's voice cracked slightly. What if it is a big deal? The room fell silent again. Even June couldn't answer that question. 20 minutes later Justin sped through the dark Georgia roads toward the emergency room while Pumpkin followed behind in her SUV with Kaitlyn and Alana inside. Nobody spoke much during the drive. Alana kept staring blankly out the window, replaying the cheating revelation over and over in her head. Kaitlyn sat quietly beside her, clutching her phone tightly. Every few minutes it buzzed with messages from Jane asking if Mama June was okay. Finally Alana broke the silence. How long did you know? Kaitlyn hesitated. A few weeks. Alana looked hurt all over again. Why didn't you tell me directly? Kaitlyn's voice trembled. Because I was scared you'd hate me. Alana sighed deeply and wiped her eyes again. I don't hate you. That small sentence nearly made Kaitlyn cry from relief. At the hospital waiting room Justin paced back and forth while Pumpkin filled out paperwork. Josh sat quietly in the corner scrolling aimlessly on his phone until a notification suddenly appeared from an unknown number. His face darkened instantly. Pumpkin noticed. What? Josh locked the screen quickly. Nothing. But Pumpkin knew that look. Was it Darren? Josh didn't answer. Josh. He finally sighed. He says somebody been spreading lies online about him cheating. Alana overheard immediately and scoffed. Because he did cheat. Josh rubbed his forehead. I'm just telling you all what he said. Before anyone could continue arguing, a doctor entered the waiting room holding June's chart. Everyone stood up immediately. The doctor spoke calmly but seriously. She's stable right now, but we found multiple ovarian cysts causing significant pain and internal pressure. Pumpkin looked terrified. Is she gonna need surgery? The doctor nodded slowly. Possibly if they continue growing or rupture. Justin exhaled heavily while Kaitlyn grabbed Alana's hand nervously. Another disaster had just landed on the family and deep down everyone knew this was only the beginning. The waiting room grew painfully quiet after the doctor walked away. Nobody knew what to say next. Pumpkin slowly sat back down in the stiff hospital chair while Justin stared blankly at the floor. Kaitlyn leaned against the wall beside Alana, both still emotionally drained from the disaster at the barbecue. The bright hospital lights made everyone look exhausted. Josh finally broke the silence. So what happens now? Pumpkin shrugged weakly. We wait. Across the room a television mounted near the ceiling played muted late-night news nobody was watching. Every few seconds nurses hurried past carrying clipboards and medical carts while the family sat trapped inside their own thoughts. Alana suddenly stood up. I need air. Kaitlyn immediately followed her outside into the humid Georgia night. The hospital parking lot was almost empty except for a few cars under flickering lights. Alana wrapped her arms around herself and stared into the darkness. Everything's falling apart, she whispered. Kaitlyn looked guilty again. I'm sorry. Alana shook her head slowly. It ain't your fault Darren cheated. Kaitlyn hesitated before quietly asking, You really believe me now? Alana looked down at the pavement for several seconds. Yeah. The word sounded painful. I called him before we got here. Kaitlyn's stomach tightened. What did he say? Alana laughed bitterly. He denied everything at first. Then when I mentioned Marissa, he hung up on me. Kaitlyn closed her eyes sadly. That answer told them everything. Alana suddenly kicked a loose pebble across the parking lot in frustration. Why do people always lie? Kaitlyn didn't know how to answer because lately even she felt confused about who she could trust anymore. Inside the hospital, Justin finally convinced the nurse to let him see June for a few minutes. When he entered the room, he found her lying quietly in bed staring at the ceiling. She looked smaller somehow without all the yelling and chaos surrounding her. Justin pulled a chair closer. How you feeling? June smirked faintly. Like somebody stabbed me with a barbecue fork. Justin chuckled softly before turning serious again. You scared us tonight. June sighed. I didn't mean to. Justin leaned forward. You gotta start taking care of yourself. June looked away. Hard to do that when everybody around me constantly falling apart. Justin couldn't argue with that. The family drama had become non-stop. Relationships collapsing, fights exploding online, secrets leaking every week. It never ended. June rubbed her forehead tiredly. Maybe that psychic was onto something. Justin frowned immediately. Don't start believing that nonsense. She said my stress was destroying my health. Justin crossed his arms. Your stress comes from trying to fix everybody else's problems. June stayed quiet because deep down she knew he was right. Back outside, Kaitlyn checked her phone again. Another message from Jane appeared almost instantly. Is everything okay? Kaitlyn smiled faintly despite everything happening around her. Alana noticed immediately. You really like him, huh? Kaitlyn blushed. Maybe. Alana raised an eyebrow. Maybe. Kaitlyn finally admitted softly. He makes me feel safe. Alana looked surprised by the honesty in her voice. That serious already? Kaitlyn shrugged nervously. He understands me. Before Alana could respond, Josh suddenly exited the hospital doors looking irritated. There y'all are. Alana crossed her arms. What now? Josh glanced at Kaitlyn's phone screen. That boy still texting you. Kaitlyn instantly became defensive. Can you stop? Josh sighed heavily. I'm trying to look out for you. No, Kaitlyn snapped. You're judging him. Josh rubbed the back of his neck, frustrated. Look, I grew up around guys who pretend to be sweet. I know how this goes. Kaitlyn shook her head. You don't even know him. Josh started to respond, but suddenly his phone rang loudly. He checked the screen and froze. Pumpkin had followed him outside just in time to notice his expression change. Who is it? Josh hesitated. Darren. Alana immediately rolled her eyes. Of course. Josh answered reluctantly. What? Everyone could hear shouting coming through the speaker even from several feet away. Josh's face darkened more with every second. Nobody set you up, he snapped back. You got caught. Pumpkin frowned nervously. What's he saying? Josh pulled the phone away briefly. He thinks somebody in the family leaked stories about him online. Alana scoffed loudly enough for Darren to hear through the phone. Tell him maybe he shouldn't cheat then. More yelling exploded through the speaker. Josh finally lost patience. Man, don't call me blaming everybody else for your mess. Then he hung up aggressively. The parking lot fell silent again. Pumpkin folded her arms tightly. This family is cursed. Nobody disagreed. Meanwhile, several miles away, Jane Carter sat alone on the front porch of his foster home, unable to sleep. The older foster couple inside had already gone to bed hours ago, but Jane remained outside replaying the evening over and over in his mind. He wasn't used to family drama this intense, yet somehow he still felt drawn toward Kaitlyn despite the chaos surrounding her life. He pulled a folded piece of notebook paper from his hoodie pocket. Earlier that afternoon, Kaitlyn had handed it to him secretly before the barbecue started. It was a poem she wrote about wanting to escape all the fighting in her family. Jane reread the final lines quietly under the porch light. Maybe someday we'll disappear somewhere nobody knows our names. He stared at those words for a long time. Then his phone buzzed again. This time it was Kaitlyn calling. He answered instantly. Hey. Her voice sounded shaky. Mama's okay for now. Jane exhaled in relief. Good. For several seconds neither spoke. Then Kaitlyn whispered, I wish you were here. Jane leaned back against the porch railing. Me too. Inside the hospital, June had finally fallen asleep while Justin sat beside her bed watching quietly. But down the hallway another argument had already started brewing. Pumpkin cornered Josh near the vending machines with narrowed eyes. What aren't you telling me? Josh looked confused. About what? That text earlier. Josh sighed. Pumpkin, not now. No, tell me now. Josh looked around carefully before lowering his voice. Darren thinks somebody close to us sent screenshots to blog us. Pumpkin's expression changed instantly. Screenshots of what? Josh hesitated too long. Josh. He finally admitted quietly. Messages between him and Marissa. Pumpkin's eyes widened. So there is proof. Josh nodded reluctantly. Pumpkin leaned against the wall trying to process everything. Alana's gonna lose it when she finds out. Josh rubbed